And we are back with the final predictions video of the festive period. It is the New Year's Game Week 21, a repeat of Game Week number 3. And what a festive period it's been. We've had some major upsets this week in particular in that regard. Man City have really extended their lead at the top of the table and look like they're on for yet another Premier League title, which is not great to say as a United fan. But it is what it is. We move into the final game week before we have a 2-week break for the FA Cup. If you're new around here, the way this works is we'll run through my predictions for the previous game week before my New Year's predictions. Drop a like if you are enjoying this series. Let's get into my mid-week predictions. And here they were. And here were the results. Arsenal and Wolves obviously was called off due to COVID in the Wolves camp. So we move on to Crystal Palace and Norwich. And straight in with a 3-pointer for me. There's not really a lot to say about this, even without Zaha. Crystal Palace were the way better team. They could have scored more. Norwich had a couple of chances. One in particular, I think it was before Crystal Palace's second goal, that they'll be very disappointed with. A lot of work for Dean Smith to do, both probably in January and just on the training ground. Their game this week has been called off due to a combination of COVID and injuries, so a nice rest for them. Opportunity to rebuild for Dean Smith, but 3 points for me for Crystal Palace and Norwich. Southampton and Tottenham probably ends up as an upset, considering that Southampton were down to 10 men for more than half the game. Tottenham will feel hard done by. I think they had a perfectly legitimate goal ruled out when Fraser Forster dropped the ball onto Doherty's leg and it just trundled in, and somehow Forster got the free kick for it. So, slight annoyance for me that, because if that had been given, I'd have got the 3 points. But instead, it's no points for me, 1 point for Southampton. And from their perspective, they'll feel deserved, considering how well they defended with 10 men. On to Watford and West Ham. And I'm not going to complain too much about it. West Ham were in a poor run of form, and Watford were in a relatively good run of form, and it looked like it was going to go the same way when Dennis took the lead for Watford. But West Ham showed their quality. Jarrod Bowen seems to be in a good run of form himself, despite how poorly West Ham have been the last few weeks. And they got the job done, a 4-1 win for them. Leeds and Aston Villa was called off, although as it stands, both of their games are going ahead this weekend. Leicester and Liverpool. Great performance from Leicester. Jurgen Klopp was not happy with the way Liverpool played. He felt they were lacking the intensity that they normally show, but at the same time I thought it was a great defensive display from Leicester. Obviously there was the Salah penalty incident where he quite literally could have scored 3 times from the spot with his head and then with his right foot from the rebound. But it was a perfect hat-trick of misses for Salah and a well-deserved 1-0 win for Leicester. And again, as a Man United fan, I'm never going to complain when I get Liverpool predictions wrong and they lose. So, well done Leicester, and we'll see how both of those teams get on this week. Obviously, Leicester game called off. Liverpool with a very tough game against Chelsea. That said, Chelsea themselves, I say it's a tough game. Brighton will attest differently. Of course, we get a Brighton prediction wrong. But it was a thoroughly deserved point. They are a very hard team to break down at the moment. Chelsea did get the goal, but Brighton hung in, created enough chance of their own, and that guy Welbs popped up with a last-minute equaliser. And now, obviously, you've had this drama with Lukaku coming out, saying that he's not happy with the way Tuchel's playing and he wants to go back to Inter Milan. Considering this has only been 4 months since he re-signed for the club, it's not looking good for Chelsea right now. And my side tipped to win the league are now a ways behind Man City and are going to be probably starting to look over their shoulder at the likes of Tottenham, Man United and Arsenal at potential risk of dropping out in the top 4. So, no points there. Brentford and Man City. I'll be honest, I thought it was quite a poor display from Man City. They're certainly capable of a lot better. They still completely starved Brentford of possession, as you'd expect from Man City. Took a really quality goal from them. Great build-up play, a phenomenal ball and finish from De Bruyne and Foden to give them the lead. And then a counter-attack at the end when Brentford were pushing for an equaliser for 2-0. Considering they've got Arsenal this weekend, I think they're going to have to play better to get a result, but we'll get to that when we get onto our actual predictions for the weekend. 1 point for Brentford Man City. Everton Newcastle was called off late due to a combination of COVID and injuries in the Newcastle camp. However, again, as it stands, it looks like that game is going to go ahead. And finally, Manchester United and Burnley. Really pleased with the way that Man United played last night as a United fan. Still looked a little bit sloppy on the ball and a couple of defensive errors, particularly from Bailly, Maguire and De Gea on the goal for Burnley. But overall, we played better than we have over the last few days. Dare I say we looked better without Bruno Fernandes? Is that a really controversial thing to say? Make your own mind up about that. I thought Scott McTominay was fantastic playing the box-to-box role with Matic sitting behind him rather than him being the sitter and Fred being box-to-box. I think it just plays into the fact that we do need a better holding midfield player. No disrespect to Matic, but he can't play 90 minutes every week. So I think that is going to be the priority in January. And an overall 3-1 win. Like I say, happy with the performance. I don't think Burnley were particularly good. So maybe lulling myself into a false sense of security, but optimistic for Manchester United's upcoming fixtures after that game. Gives me the final point of the week, ending myself with 5 and an overall season score of 1-1. Let me know down in the comments how you're getting on. And let's move on to the New Year's Day and, well, the 2nd of January predictions. Kicking off with Arsenal and Man City in the lunchtime game on New Year's Day. And as we just sort of spoke about in regards to Man City, I think they're going to need an improvement if they're going to get a result. That said, in game week 3, Man City did win 5-0 at home to Arsenal. It'll be interesting to see how much has changed. This is a proper test for Arteta's young team. I'm just going to edge it to Man City. I think Arsenal are going to give them a hell of a performance. I'm going to go 3-2. It looks like Cancelo will miss the game for Man City after his house got broken into and he suffered a cut and a black eye. So I can't see Cancelo playing. He has been a major part in how Man City play this season. And I think Arsenal have the means to hurt Man City. I'm going on form for this one, and maybe I shouldn't. I definitely can see Arsenal getting a result here, but you would still expect Man City to get the job done, and that is why I'm going to go for the 3-2 prediction. Leicester and Norwich, as we've already spoken about, has been called off, which is a bit annoying for me because fantasy football-wise, I was backing Leicester to get me a few points, and now that's not going to happen. Wolves and Tottenham is an interesting one because, again, it's how do you assess their form? Watford are very inconsistent. Spurs are kind of inconsistent. I am going to give this to Spurs. It was 1-0 in game week 3. I'm going to go for 3-1 to Spurs here. They are improving under Antonio Conte and they should have the quality to beat Watford. So that is what I'm going to back. And I think 3-1's a fair result. I definitely see Watford being able to get a goal. Tottenham are improving defensively, but they are still leaking occasionally. So, yeah, I think 3-1 is the fair result there. On to Crystal Palace and West Ham. And I seem to remember making a comment back in my Game Week 3 predictions that given West Ham's start to the season and Crystal Palace's start to the season, we could only see it being an easy West Ham victory, and it ended up being a 2-2 draw. And that is actually what I'm going to go for again. West Ham obviously played well against Watford, but I think Crystal Palace are a harder team to play against right now. I think this game will all hinge on how Crystal Palace set up. They seem to have like two variants. They either sit back and hit you on the counter, or they go for the high press. I would like to think at home against West Ham they may go for the high press approach, and that's why I can see it being a 2-2 game where West Ham are able to get in behind Palace's press. But at the same time, Crystal Palace are able to break down West Ham's still heavily depleted defence. I think 2-2. is probably the right way to go, because I really can't decide which way I would edge this match. On to Brentford and Aston Villa. A game that I feel should be pretty easy to predict. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 Aston Villa win on this one. In Game Week 3, it finished 1-1. It was a very good away performance from Brentford, but I feel like they've definitely made improvements, Aston Villa, under Steven Gerrard. It's not clear if he's going to be back in the dugout just yet. I expect not, considering how recent he was tested positive, but the way Villa have been playing recently, I expect them to get the job done here. Brentford shouldn't really have a lot of threat to damage Aston Villa, so I'm going to go for 2-0. Everton and Brighton. We've obviously just spoken about how Brighton are very difficult to break down. That is definitely going to play into my prediction here. It was a 2-0 away win for Everton in the reverse fixture, but back then it was all full of optimism. They were playing really well, a great start under Rafa Benitez, all things were looking up, but since then it's all gone wrong for them. It is apparently rumoured that Calvert-Lewin is going to be fit and starting. He was predicted to start against Newcastle before that game was called off, so it'd be interesting to see how fit he is, how much difference he can make to the team. But I am just going to go for a 1-0 Everton win here. I am not confident enough to go for any more than that, considering how well, the form of both teams. Everton haven't been playing great. Brighton have been defending really well, but I just think Everton will edge this one out. On to Leeds and Burnley, and Leeds are in desperate need of a result, and based on how Burnley played yesterday, I think this is the right team to come up against. I'm going to give this as a 3-1 Leeds win. It's unclear again how fit Leeds' squad is. As I say, at the moment this game goes ahead, it wouldn't surprise me if this game is still called off. But for now, I'm going to err on the side of it's going to go ahead and Leeds are going to have players available. And if Burnley played the way they did last night, the likes of Rafinha, Rodrigo, etc., they'll be able to break down that Burnley defence and get the win. I am going to go for 3-1 though, purely because of how Leeds have been defending recently. Burnley do have means of scoring, of course, but overall I expect Leeds to get the win here, 3-1. Southampton and Newcastle was a 2-2 last time out in Game Week 3. However, with it looking likely that Callum Wilson and Saint Maximin are still going to be out, I just don't see where Newcastle are going to get the goals from. We spoke about how well Southampton defended against Newcastle with 10 men. So, sorry, how they defended against Tottenham with 10 men. So, against Newcastle with 11, I can't see Newcastle scoring. And I can see Southampton grabbing themselves a couple of goals themselves. So, I'm going to go for a 2-0 Southampton win there. On to the other big game, the main event of the weekend, shall we say, the 4:30 game on Sunday. We have Chelsea and Liverpool, and this is the one that I've taken the most time over in terms of where to put it. At different times this morning alone, I've gone for Chelsea, I've gone for Liverpool, I've gone for a draw. But I think given recent form and given the outburst from Lukaku yesterday, can Tuchel even play Lukaku after what he said yesterday? I'm not so sure. So, with all that in mind, and of course the injury now to Reece James, it looks like him and Chilwell are going to be out for a very long time. Massive part in the way that Chelsea play. Even though they were poor against Leicester, and I could see them playing that badly again, I am going to give this one to Liverpool and go for a 2-1 Liverpool win. Yeah, I just think that's the most logical way to go. I'm still, even now, with the final prediction locked in, considering changing my mind. But no, I am going to go for 2-1 Liverpool. And finally, we have Manchester United and Wolves, the Monday night football. I'm just going to get the prediction out of the way. I'm going to go for 2-0 United. I expect us to beat Wolves. Like I said, we played better against Burnley last night. I still don't think we played great, and Wolves are a much better defensive unit. But I just think we need to kick on. And I believe we can kick on, and because of that, I have to go for a 2-0 Manchester United win. Well, I have to go for a Man United win, but I'm going to go for 2-0 because I believe we have the ability to score more than one goal at home against a team like Wolves. I also think we have the ability to get more, but yeah, I think 2-0 is the safest prediction. And that will round off the predictions for the week. Sorry if I've been rambling a bit. I've been a little bit ill and I've had my COVID booster this morning, so my head's a bit of a mess. So that's why I've been a bit wobbly. Like I say though, that is the end of the video, and that is going to be the last predictions for 2 weeks, because like we said, we're going into the FA Cup break. Will be refreshing to have a little break for now, so drop a like if you are enjoying this series. Don't forget, of course, to comment down below with your own predictions. Let me know how you're getting on across the course of the season, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time for Game Week 22. Have a happy new year.